I know that you have talked about platform power and these monopoly type issues, but I can't help but think, yes, the Democrats in the House have laid out a particular point of view here, but it's going to be tough to defend.
I absolutely think it'll be tough to defend. And I think you've got it exactly right. The end game here is changing the standard of the antitrust laws, of moving to a place where what we're trying to regulate is competition in the market as opposed to the prices consumers pay. And that has been the underlying current of this entire process over the past year plus. The real question, I think, for the House Dems is obviously there's an election, but they do have, as you noted, Ken Buck saying, I agree with 330 pages of this report. So something is going to happen. Both Republicans and Democrats think some regulation needs to happen. Is there a compromise in the middle? Will anything move before the election? All big questions. What I would pose to this group, the thing that jumped out from me in this report more than anything is just the high cost of entry to known good businesses. So I'll put this to the CNBC audience. The report notes that the only two companies that operate full web search indexes are Google and Microsoft. That, to me, is crazy. You know search is a good business. Google's minting money in search. No one else thinks that it's valuable to create a search engine. That cost of that barrier to entry is too high. And I think this report points that out over and over across all these industries.
Wouldn't you admit that the idea of a search engine in itself is in a way antiquated? Like, not only do you have, say, your DuckDuckGo's out there, but you've also got Amazon doing voice search through Alexa in a way that's not technically a search engine, but it is the consumer, the user indicating intent, and then a search going on to bring back some information. And Amazon also has an advertising business on the back end of that. So yeah, you can make a search engine argument, but that seems kind of myopic to me.
Sure. I mean, DuckDuckGo has to license the Google search index. That's how their business works. They're paying a fee to Google that makes a margin on that business. I think the idea that core technologies that power economic activity across the internet are locked up into a handful of companies means that the cost of entry is too high. I think Google is not great as a search engine, right? They're cramming their mobile search results full of their own products, full of more ads. That's how they're making more money. We talk about ad load with all these companies all the time. They're reducing their consumer experience. It should be really easy for any of these companies to say, well, we can make a better one of those. And none of them do it because the lock-in is there, the lack of interoperability is there, the switching costs are so high. And I think that fundamentally is what this report lays out in exhaustive detail. Now, some of the recommendations are subject to political compromise. Some of the recommendations, I think, are flatly unworkable. Parts of this read like the Congress wants to ban business, right? We want to prevent you from using a superior bargaining position. Like, how are you going to enforce that? How are you going to write that into a law? But the reality is so many of these markets are locked up, and they're key markets to build any kind of business now, and that's a problem.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.